Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for coming here tonight. I think it's fitting, since we are all gathered here, that it is only appropriate that we begin this evening with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you would rise with me and we can recite the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, once again, good evening to one and all, and thank you so much for being here tonight. My name is Ray Cortopassi. I'm the Executive Director of the Zionsville Chamber of Commerce, and I would like to applaud all of you for taking charge and getting involved and being here today. I would also like to thank our panel who have given of themselves to be here. I think it says an awful lot about our community that we can come here together to host this sort of debate. And let's be clear about several things here. Zionsville schools truly are the pride of our community and the pride of our state. It is in no small part what makes our town special. But I believe we all can agree that the real treasure are the people. And I think we need to stay focused on that the most valuable asset are, in fact, our children. And so, please, during the course of this discussion, keep that in mind. There's been a lot of passion out there that we have seen expressed months ago, weeks ago, and in the last few days. A lot of passion, and rightly so. But this forum tonight has been brought to you in the spirit of public service. And to that end, the Zionsville Chamber of Commerce has not taken a position in this debate. Although there have been a lot of vocal opinions, I think, on both sides, our goal is to be respectful and to be considerate. I would hope that we will have no outbursts, no loud declarations one way or another. And I'm confident that this will be a non-issue, but if it does come to pass, I just have to be clear that you'll have a warning, and then after that you will be asked to leave. So thank you again for being here. I would like to introduce a number of people who are here with us tonight. First of all, in the back of the room is Kent Ezra. He is the president of the Zionsville Chamber of Commerce. I'm grateful to be joined here by representatives of our community, of our businesses, and of our schools, all of which have invested an awful lot of time over the last few months gathering information and putting forth an agenda that they feel best serves our children. Leading things up from Zionsville Community Schools, Dr. Scott Robison, the superintendent. He is joined by Mike Schaefer, the chief financial officer for Zionsville Schools. Mark Englert, Zionsville business owner and property owner. And I'm sorry, I have to look at my last notes here. And Bob Weingartner, also of the school board. So thank you once and all. If we could have a round of applause for our school board. And here with us this evening from Zionsville Taxpayers for Responsible Education, we are joined by Jeff Bash, the CFO for the Indianapolis Business Journal Corporation, Ron Martin, who is the CFO for Center Properties, Valerie Swack, counselor here on the Zionsville Town Council, and Chip Cravens, a former school board member. So here a little bit is how the format of the evening will work. I'm sorry. You see, this is where I need you to keep me honest on all points of diplomacy. That's the other thing. If you have a cell phone, if you could please put it to vibrate, I'd appreciate that. I will do that as soon as I finish, too, to make sure I follow my own rules. Here is a little bit about how the format will work. We have cards at the back of the room in the lobby. We would ask that you would please put your question down on paper, and they have made their way to me either through Kent or Jana Wiley of the Chamber of Commerce. That way we can kind of keep it moving, keep it orderly. Here's how it will work. We did essentially a coin toss to see who would begin with opening statements, and those opening statements will go about 15 or 20 minutes. Each side will get a chance to make their clear arguments. After that, we will begin with the Q&A session. Each question will be selected at random here, and each individual will have approximately 3 minutes. In fact, I will do my best to time that, so if anybody wants to help me with that, that would be great too. And then if the other side would like to rebut that answer, they will have the opportunity to do that, and that will last for approximately 1 minute. When we get done with the Q&A portion, we will then begin with closing remarks, and we hope to have the evening wrapped up by 8:30. So with that, please let us begin with Mr. Weingartner, and you can begin.
I'd like to begin by getting my name pronounced correctly. It's actually Rob Wingeter. I'm an 18-year member of the school board, but I do have a day job, which ironically I'm my 35th year at Ernst & Young, which is the largest accounting firm in the state. We've got a number of roles, but the interesting one is that the last 35 years advising companies on how to save taxes. So if I'm sitting on this side of the table, it must mean I've been convinced through the whole process that this was a worthy thing to bring to the vote of the taxpayers. A lot of it is, I think, and I want to set a little bit of the stage before I turn it over to Mike and Mark and Scott to talk in some detail of how did we wind up in this particular situation. Some of you have to just understand a little bit about school funding formula and how it interacted with the economy. Until a couple of years ago, a good chunk of the operating fund, the general fund, that pays most of the standard expenses that you see and that are evidence themselves in the classroom, is paid for through a significant chunk through the property tax. In an effort to get everybody property tax relief, that was an obligation that was assumed back by the state. Now, unfortunately, when they did that, the timing wasn't very good because they exchanged a steady, fairly straightforward source of revenue, property taxes. It didn't really vary that much from year to year. They replaced it with a very unstable source of revenue, income and sales tax. Well, as soon as that happens, the economy goes bad, sales tax declines, people are purchasing less, income tax declines. Now, I honestly think the state must have, of course, saw this situation developing because up until they changed their funding formula, there was no ability to have an operating referendum. You can only do it in limited cases for capital projects. So in that particular instance, I think they foresaw the situation where the property tax cap that was implemented that fixed the property taxes at no more than 1% of assessed value could generate hardships in particular situations. Compounding our particular problem here in Zionsville is they also introduced what they call a complexity factor, with a general theory that the higher your per capita income is represented by the number of students on free and reduced meals, the less money you needed per student. So in that sense, 292 school districts in the state of Indiana, we are deemed the least complex, or 292nd. So when you add the economy, the change in the funding formula, all of those processes, it resulted in a dramatic decrease in our source of revenue, even pre the property tax cap kicking in. With the property tax kicking in, we look to have, for the next several years, an ever-increasing impact onto our capital projects fund, which you may say, well, that's separate from the general operating fund. But the problem with that is that certain obligations would have to be met. If we can't meet them under the 1% cap, we have to go ahead and pay for them out of the general fund. So we get a very difficult compounding effect of declining revenue, both from the state allocations and from the property tax cap. And the other thing to remember is we've got increasing expenses. Unlike many of you represent business owners out there with your Chamber of Commerce, we're not in a typical situation. When the economy went bad, if the economy drops off and you have to lay off employees because you've got less business, you can control your expenses that way. Our situation it's actually quite the opposite.